now. Good deal.
There you go.
How the hell are you doing?
Very good. How are you?
Been better.
Really?
Yeah, we'll get into that.
All right.
So you talked about, you mentioned the post race depression
Yeah.
or funk. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I've started noticing it back when we were getting up into the 50s, like the big runs. And like the second day, I just felt like it was a dark cloud over my head, even if it was a beautiful day and I felt good. I just felt like I was in a funk. And actually, I've gotten to the point where I think I've anticipated it. Like, I know I'm not going to feel great. It's not being sore or tired or any of that kind of stuff. It's like I just don't feel good. And I want to look into it, but I think it's the stress hormones that you've created a bunch of that your body's then processing. It's like the aftershock of a fight or flight experience.
Right.
So that hit me today because Saturday was the run. Sunday was a totally relaxing day, kind of processing the event. Monday was Memorial Day, so I spent the day with the kids at the beach, which was a good distraction. But I woke up this morning and I was playing the weekend over in my head, what I did right, what I did wrong. Still haven't run yet, so that always, not running is always contributes to the funk. Can't tell you how many people have said, "You got 90. Why don't you just do 10 more?"
Oh no.
Which I'm like, yep, hard to explain what those last 10 felt like. So anyways, yeah, I need to get back running, kind of just, but it's part of the process, I think.
You've had I look at what you did as such a huge success. You know what I mean? Like, there's no part of me that looks like, and I look at what I did as such a huge failure in every way. The funk for me is a different level than I've ever had to deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for me to even imagine you thinking that's any sort of a failure. It's 91 freaking miles.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
They were so close, Ben.
I know, but you still have that to get.
I know.
So you cross 100, then you got to go to 200, right?
Yeah. No,
150.
I'm way more positive came out of that than anything else, right? It's really just me kind of on the tail end of it, but I'm super happy with it. Hundreds, like, well within my target at this point. Like, I want to get my legs back so I can just go do it again. So yeah, no, so many good things came out of it. It's just a number at the end of the day too. That's the other thing, is like 90, 100, 110. We put a lot of stock into this one number, but they're all big numbers.
Yeah, you said something about you're doing a mile a half hour.
Yeah.
I was trying to picture what that pace is like. That's a slow pace. That's a crawl.
Yeah, it was mostly mental bargaining, right? You'd take 10 steps, then stop and be like, all right, am I going to take 10 more steps or 10 steps back to the house? Like, and so I'd stop, argue with myself, walk some more. So it wasn't a productive pace at all. But and yeah, so I mean, I can walk you through all of that.
Yeah, we'll get there. What was your kind of running plan? I mean, you were putting up a pretty good pace. I was, every time you were posting, I'm like, wow, he's already at 20. Wow, he's already at 40. Wow, he's still.
Yeah.
Were you running everything? Hills, walking, anything?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I ran everything and only stopped.
Even downhills?
I ran everything. It was a flat. It was pretty flat. If
right.
But ran everything. Stopped at convenience stores strategically throughout the route to replenish fuel and hydration, and then a necessary walk here and there, right, where I wanted to, if I had to fix some gear or just stretch it out a little bit. But I ran 10-minute miles consistently from the first mile to the 85th mile. And I'm not lying. there was a stretch from 60 to 75 where I was running like 9:45 to 10-minute pace. And then, every mile I maybe would walk for a minute, but then got right back on pace. And I was just blown away. I remember thinking to myself, I should not be running at this point. Like I should be at a 12, 13-minute pace, slow, walking a lot. I just ran all those miles. So that was really encouraging.
And you were just going by feel? Like you weren't, if you saw you were doing a 10:30, were you thinking, oh, I should pick it up a little bit, or you just going by what felt good?
Late in after 60, I felt like if I dipped too far out off of 10-minute pace, there was diminishing returns. Like I noticed that if I'm trudging along at 11 or 12-minute pace, I'm not actually making good progress, and I'm still trying to jog, so I'm just expending unnecessary energy. So that the game plan was if I can't hold a 10-minute pace, stop, walk, I'll feel better a little bit, and then get right back to a 10-minute pace. And that seemed to work.
I like that.
Yeah. Because when I would look down at my watch and I realized I was running like an 11-minute mile and I was like basically like treading water, I was like, I should just be walking, collecting my breath, rehydrating.
Right.
And then get back onto it. And then I could get back onto like a 9:45, 10. And then I feel like I was really making miles. But I mean, I would do 1 or 2 miles at a stretch, and I ran 53 to 60 pretty much 7 miles straight with no stopping, which that was untried. Like I'd never been at that distance before.
Right.
So those were really good takeaways.
I wonder where that sweet spot is for like most efficient pace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 11, 12, like you said, diminishing returns. You're starting to, you're doing a lot of the motions, but not getting much distance in.
Right. Over that period of time.
You're almost better off going at 14, 15 mile per hour pace, walking and gathering yourself, and not as much use on the muscles.
Yeah. I don't know what that math would be like, but it's like you can run 12-minute miles consecutively, or you can run 10-minute miles with a 14 or 15-minute walk pace every quarter of a mile, right? And then your average is still 11 to 12-minute pace. But I think the energy conservation through walking and then running at a faster pace would just work better for me.
Yeah, I think it probably comes down to heart rate. There's a certain amount of like how hard your body is having to work.
Right. I bet. Yeah.
Huh,
but felt good with pace the entire time.
That's awesome. I blows my mind.
Yeah. My mind was blown in the 60s. From 60 to 75, the sun had just come out after a rainstorm. I was just feeling I was in a groove. And I was 12 plus hours at that point and had never run that long before in my life. So I was like, wow, this is doable.
Yeah.
And one other thing that I learned too is I've got you can't wallow in the down and you can't rejoice in the high. Right. So, if you get down and you're like, oh, this run is too slow, my legs don't feel good, you can cascade that one down further. But the same thing goes. I remember saying like at like around 60, 55 to 60, and I was running hard, feeling good. I was on top of the world. I was ready to, I was like, oh, I'm going to win this last man standing, and I got this. And then you just get humbled at some point in the near future. And so I'd just kind of evening that out is right. A good reminder.
Yeah, no, I've had a couple marathons where I'm at a point where I'm like, oh my God, I'm feeling really, all of a sudden, where'd this groove come from?
Right.
And soon after it crashes. And now I'm at a point where I start to feel good. It's like, oh no, here it comes.
Yeah. The corner's going to turn. So yeah, just riding that out with a little bit more energy conservation, I think is helpful. Just knowing that it's going to be up and down the whole fight.
And aiming for the middle.
Yeah.
I think you made some smart choices. I love that you decided to do 30 out and 30 back. You have no option but to pass 60.
Yeah.
Right. Or
that
over.
That was the plan. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was smart. And I to be honest with you, we've talked many times. You've talked about failing your own expectations and how that's kind of ended your days more than anything else. Yeah. I'll be like, what hurt on you? You're like, nothing. Just the expectation. I'm like, and I didn't grasp that until
Right.
what I just experienced. And you set, 60, your goal was 60, which was, you knew was an achievable
Yeah.
expectation, and then let it go after that,
Right.
which once you hit 60, then you're all in bonus. I've made my goal. I
Yeah.
know the amount of happy, and now whatever, this is just, house money that I'm playing with
Right.
here.
Yeah.
That was
I
smart.
was trying to play to my strengths. It's really was for me necessary to get into that level of mileage, where I, instead of trying to just grit it and make it difficult for myself, it's like, let's make this the most achievable task. And knowing that I struggle with time limits and, expectations. And I once I got to 60, I was really happy. I mean, I was like, wow, I've never been this far out into the deep waters. I feel good. I still have plenty of time in front of me. So I wasn't up against some sort of time crunch. And I thought I had I did have a solid plan in front of me at that point. So that just worked really well.
Yeah.
And in fact, I probably could have pushed that up to 70 or 80, like a 40 out, 40 back. But again, playing to my strengths, I didn't even know what my body would feel like at 60 or 70 or 80. Now I know I could do a 40 out, 40 back if I needed to.
Yeah. Now looking back on the run, any mistakes or things you feel like you did really well?
Fuel and hydration still are working really well. I played with a bunch of different stuff intentionally because basically I had no stomach discomfort, so gels, the Tailwinds packs. Have you seen Tailwinds?
I have some.
Yeah, you've got some. Yeah, like those were good. A little sugary for me, but they were fine. The gels were great. And then I'd pick up like the
burger
bar at the convenience store, just for calories. But
your burger cracked me up.
Yeah. So I had a well, you know how it is. So this most of the stuff that's easy to carry with you is high in fructose and it's sweet. So your mouth is like, I want something salty, and salty food's hard to digest. And it's like a bag of chips while you're running a 60 miler is not easy.
Right.
But I did hit a Amato's at mile 60 and got a half Italian. Fantastic. Best Italian I've ever eaten.
Yeah.
And then I knew there was a burger place that I wanted to hit at mile 75 and got that. And that was tasty. That was really good.
Yeah.
So those two things, those like real food in between the gels and the goos and the carry-on stuff worked really well. And just banged on electrolytes. I relied on some Pedialyte late, like in the 80s. Because I felt like I was starting to get a little dehydrated. But other than that, I actually felt fine the whole way.
And it was hot. It was humid that day, right?
It was really hot.
And then you get downpoured.
Yep. It was the run started raining. It kind of finished raining. And I took the Eastern Trail for the first like 20 of the 30 miles on the way down. And the mosquitoes were really bad. If I stopped at all, I had like 100 mosquitoes on me. So I stopped at my friend's house, Andrew Greeley, and got some bug spray from him on the way back. But it was also motivation to not stop.
Right.
So I was like, if I stopped at all, the bugs were going to eat me alive. So little things like that. I had my water vest, the strap that connects the back to the front broke. So my front flap and water bottle was flapping, which was super annoying.
Yeah.
Again, some like a string or rope, little things just keep with you that, can fix those problems. But those little takeaways.
It's impressive. So talk me through the end. So like you said, you're debating with yourself to get to 100, and so how tired were you at that point? Like I know in my run, sleep going all night long played a big factor. Just the draw to, like, my bed is right there.
I know. For me, it's a light switch, and I haven't figured out how to keep my hand off of it. It happened when I attempted the 100K, the 62 miler, like last November when it was cold out. And I got home at 48 and same thing. Saw the couch, was in the warm house, took my cold, wet gear off, and I was like, I'm not going back up. But this one, so just to back up real quick, I thought I had a really solid plan, and I think I did, and I was really happy with it. So 30 down, 30 back was awesome. Hit 60. I got to the house literally at 60, and from 57 to 60, it was downpouring. So when I was wet when I got home, and it looked like it was going to rain for about another hour. And then from my house to Kennebunkport, the downtown area, was another like 10 miles. And that's where I wanted to finish the evening. So be down there in the 90s and then force myself to have to walk home that 10 miles, right? So, but I didn't want to be wet. So I was like, all right, I was just going to go from 60 into Kennebunkport and do the last 40 in and around that area, but I didn't want to be wet. So I did 15 around the house from 60 to 75, just soaking wet, which was fine because I'd go out 5, back 5, change, that kind of thing. Sun came out at 75. I was like, all right, I think I'm good for the night. It's going to be dry. So I started heading into Kennebunkport. That's where I stopped at the burger place along the way, got some burgers. Got to my friend's house who lives in Kennebunkport at mile 80 and felt great. This was, I don't know, 10 at night, 9:30 at night. I come running down the street. He's out on the porch. He's like, hey, Jeff. I'm like, hey, what's up? How's it going? He's like, you don't sound like somebody that just ran 80 miles. I'm like, I'm feeling great. I walk into his house, fill up my water bottles, talk to his wife for a second. And I did plan a couple of, like, my buddy Andrew in South Portland and then my buddy Mike in Kennebunkport just to interact with some people, which is helpful, you know. So I peel out of his house and I take a right and I'm heading into Kennebunkport. It's another like 3 miles. And I look in to see my watch is about to die. And then I just panic mode set in because I'm like, all right, so what do I do? I'm out. I won't know what I'm at for mileage. I can guess, but I won't know for sure. And you don't want to be guessing at 96, 97.
Right.
Plus, you don't get the cool photo shot, which is what I was really going for. I just wanted to snap a photo of my watch at 100. So I'm at 82. I was like, all right, I'm going home. So it's 7 miles back to the house. Everything's closed. So this is 10 at night or whatever. Everything's closed. Get back to the house really low on water. Because there was a couple of stores around Kennebunkport I was planning on hitting up that were 24/7.
Right.
Get back to the house, 89. But I'm still running. Which was just mind-blowing. Get into the house, charge my watch. And these things actually charge pretty quick. So I was like, charge it for 5 or 10 minutes. Plan from there was just go out a mile, back a mile, do that 5 times. And that way, even if my watch needs to be recharged or I need some water, food, plus I was going to take all my gear off so I could just run watch and phone. Yep. That's it.
Yep.
Big help too. That's, you know, I was in the house for maybe 10 minutes, walk out on the driveway, start the jog. And it's that, you know, where the engine just doesn't turn over. And I was like, all right, that's fine. I was like, that's fine. I'll walk. I'll just walk. I just took a 10-minute break. I'm 90 miles, almost 90 miles in. I'll just walk a half a mile. And at some point, this will turn into a jog. That half a mile, that 30 minutes to get a half a mile was just, you know, walk 20 steps, stop, look back at the house. And then your math starts running. I'm like, if I keep this up, it will take me 6 hours. So I'm almost midnight at that point. And I was going to stop myself at 6 a.m. So I'm like, if I keep this pace, I might not even hit 100 at 6 a.m. So then this is when the deceiving brain gets really clever. It's like, Jeff, what's the point of walking for 6 hours to get another 6 miles? You still don't hit your 100.
Total failure.
So what's the point? Just walk back to the house. So I walk back to the house, sit down on the couch, feeling really depleted. I'll give myself a little bit of credit. I got back up from the couch and went back out. I was like, no, this is the reason I'm doing this. I'm walking another 6 hours. This was a 24-hour race.
Right.
So I got up, walked back out. I made it not even 100 yards, 50 yards. And I was like, no, I'm done. That's it. And I knew at that point I just had mentally checked out.
Yeah.
This, you know, I'm on a country road. It's just like your road. It's dark in either direction. Everybody's asleep. You're the only one out there. and I just could not convince myself that walking the next 10 miles was worth it. And I always forget when I'm in that mode, I always forget that there's still a potential that you could walk yourself into a run.
Yep.
You know, you think, oh, this is it. I'm done. My feet are killing me. My body's depleted. I'm going to be walking at a 45-minute a mile pace. But you forget that there's still the potential that your body's going to loosen up and maybe get back to a 10-minute pace and you just knock it out, you know? But I didn't give myself that chance, which that's the only disappointing part of the whole day. So I went back to the house, put a frozen pizza in the oven, cooked that, ate, felt great, warmed up, went to sleep, had the most restless sleep I've ever had, legs just kicking the entire night.
Yep.
And then woke up in the morning, and the first thought was, why didn't you just finish, Jeff? That was the whole point. But anyways.
But you did awesome, man.
No, I
so impressive.
So I'm going to make an excuse for myself. This whole watch thing, like if I'd just been able to stick to the plan and stay out into the 90s and then had to force myself, I know I would have felt I was in a groove. And regardless of all that, I think I can run 100 miles in 19 hours now. Just,
right.
You know, same pace, same plan, just execute a little bit better, knock out that last 10 hours and 10 miles in 2 hours, which would have bumped me from 17 hours to 19 hours. That's a really good 100-mile run.
That is
under 20. So I'm ready for it.
Yeah, a little rescue battery kind of thing. Carry with you.
We'll have to talk about that offline because one, this Garmin should last for more than 24 hours.
Yeah.
And two, I don't know how to recover a run. You know what I mean? Like I had to stop it and then add to it manually. I don't know how to recover it and get it to restart.
Oh, there's a save for later. If you scroll down.
No, but it died.
Oh yeah, I haven't had mine die on me. So
yeah, so I'll figure that out. I just got to make sure rights.
I have like a little block that's like a battery thing with a USB. So like if I was thinking if I ever ran into that situation, I could take my watch off, plug it in, just put it in my backpack or whatever.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then it's just charging while I'm going.
Right.
You know, it's not giving me all my run dynamics, but at least it's still doing GPS and it's charging on the run. And like you said, they charge so fast.
Yeah.
10 minutes of that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about why the backyard ultra format is hard. And I think I might have figured it out because every lap you're consistently seeing yourself deteriorating. Even if you went a few seconds slower or you're feeling a little bit more uncomfortable. So your brain starts thinking about that decline and you know the decline and you're not improving you know what I mean?
Right.
And it just sets into your mind more, I think.
Yeah.
Where there's no place where you can just go and you lose yourself for 15 miles.
Right.
Because you're reminded every hour on the hour that I'm going in that direction.
I think I'm gonna have a hard time with it. I know I will. Because it really highlights a lot of those weaknesses, right? Because you're right. I mean, there was times when I was 7 miles and it was just gone, just like my brain was just gone, and all of a sudden I'm 7 miles down, and that's awesome. But not in the backyard format because you got to stop in the middle of that and check your toes and tighten up and all that kind of stuff. So
I saw this is a quote from Goggins. Just a couple days ago, be in competition with no one. Have no desire to play the game of being better than anyone. Be simply try to be better. Be simply try to be a better person than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've been putting up a lot of miles this winter, right?
Crazy.
And I've been, in my head, I started thinking big thoughts. Last year I did this far. I'm doubling my miles. I'm going to do this far.
Right.
I'm going to, once I cross 100, what's that going to be like? And when I'm getting, 150, last year was 140 was a win. I start thinking these thoughts. I start getting ahead of myself, setting expectations. that my body isn't ready to cash in for.
Right.
That's been mind altering for me.
Yeah.
And I'm having to deal with it. And then I've also been thinking about, you've been putting up really good miles. I've been putting up more,
Yeah.
but
Consistent.
I think, I mean, everybody I listen to that's like a high end runner or ultra distance person, they're like rest and recovery, rest and recovery. I hear it over and over
Yeah.
again. Well, one of the two things I'm sacrificing to do my miles,
Right.
rest and recovery.
Right.
And I think partially because I know you, if you had more time,
Yeah.
you'd be putting up the same miles I would be. You would be pushing each other to be the stupidest meathead around, right?
Right.
But you've been forced because of travel and your job and family and to forced rest days. And
Yeah.
I think that's why you've had what you experienced, your success.
Right.
Where I started thinking about like if somebody wanted to get strong at doing curls, you don't do curls every day. You
Right.
need a day off in between. You need,
Right.
and I've been running every day. Just
Yeah.
my body never gets to a point where it feels good again, and
Right.
so I think that's where my strategy has failed me.
I would, I don't know if I would have agreed with you up until I just ran this run,
Right.
because I honestly think I had the right amount of mileage, the right amount of recovery, the right types of runs that got me to this. I started the last month in May, April, or I don't know when, but I started doing more like marathons straight, just running straight, right?
Right.
Because it's we can get 25 miles in a day if you do 10 10 5 or whatever, but I still think those long distance runs make and then backing it up like a 30-20 or a 25-15, that kind of thing. And that really gave me a ton of confidence, because the last couple of 25 milers I did, I was like, I could double, triple this easily. I just mentally had the right confidence. I did learn something from my taper, which is I don't need to taper. I did a full blown leg day in the gym with Jeffrey 2 days before the 100. I'm no doubt. I'm serious. Squats, lunges, leg curls, because I was just like, I run better with tired legs, or legs that have been recently exercised, that kind of thing. So, right. But anyways, back to when I was running well into the 60s, 70s, 80s, I was like, yeah, this was the right level of programming for this type of run. And so I think for you, I would think that you probably overtrained it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That said, what are we training for?
Right.
Did I hit the mark as far as pushing myself to the absolute limit? Like, yeah, you said I've had travel, I've had, kids, this and that, but how many nights could I have gone out from 9 to 10 p.m. and knocked out some more miles? Plenty of nights,
right.
So it just depends on what your objective is, right? So I think actually I'm if I wanted to do 100 miles again, I would use the same exact program that I just used. If I want to just beat my body and get tougher, I probably would err more on the side of what you're doing. Serious.
Yeah.
So back, which is, and I want to talk here about your attempt. I love the video that you did, because I was listening to it in the car with the kids while we're waiting for Tyson to get into the car. So it was Bella and Jeffrey, and they're listening to it. I'm laughing the whole time because I knew exactly how you were feeling. Like, they were kind of like, what's he talking about? Like Bella, who's just ruthless. It's the one that says, hey, Dad, why don't you just run the last 10 miles? Like, what's
right.
You were so close. She's like, because you had just said, like, I'm doing this to be mentally tough and to push through things and, and to persevere, but I gotta quit. And Bella's like, that makes no sense. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't know what it feels like to be on broken legs with a broken spirit, 13 hours into an event where you've got 12 more. The things that go on inside your head is just really hard to explain to other people.
It snowballed on me so fast.
Yeah.
It got out of control, and the sleep thing. It just got to me quick. I don't know. I was just.
So you started at 3 p.m., right?
Yeah.
So you had been up for 12 hours.
Right.
And then when you pulled the plug, you were already 12, 13 in. So you'd been up for 24 hours.
I was an hour away from sunrise. And in my head, I kept thinking, if I just make it to sunrise,
Oh, that's right.
you know,
Because you got the 3 a.m.
it's a fresh, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
things turn around, you know, you
Right.
feel, and I wish I'd just made it to sunrise to know what that felt like, man. But I had these expectations. I was like, what am I going to do after 100? That's kind of where my mind was at. You know what I mean? Like I didn't even, I wasn't ready for it. But I did a marathon just yesterday, and I held a pace where I wanted to be, you know,
Yeah.
staying
Good
comfortable,
pace.
and it crushed me. I was a wreck all day yesterday. I'm like,
Oh, really?
yeah. And I'm like, I've been putting up 20-mile days, 5 days straight, you know, no problem,
Yeah.
but not pushing pace. I'm like, I've been selling myself short too. I've been staying too comfortable for too many miles.
Yeah.
I think I've built a good base,
Right.
but I need to start upping that.
Yeah. I I'm going back to, again, just I've learned so much, but and I don't want to make excuses for my busy schedule, but I actually also enjoy running long distances on the weekends when I don't have anything on my plate, right? I mean, is when you're up against the clock and you got to get it in so you can get showered to get to work and then take it off on your lunch and get one before dinner. That's fine if you absolutely have to do it. But I just feel like it's, kind of constant go, go, go. Whereas if you have like a wide open Sunday, 5 hours, and you can just go enjoy the run, those I'm going to do more. I want to do more of those, and if you're doing only a 70-mile week, you can do a 30-20, 5 miles a day through the week,
Right.
and then do a 30-20 on the weekend. So I'm going to start to do more of that kind of stuff.
It's tough time commitment wise though.
Yeah.
You know, there's always something to do on Sunday, and the
Right.
family's always here, and there's
Yeah.
always, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like I'm thinking long day, short day, like recovery day, long day, recovery day, something like that.
Yeah.
My other thing on my marathon, so I stayed up watching the Celtics, which is a late game, and then I didn't sleep well because I was pumped that they won, right?
Yeah.
I got up, I'm like, I'm gonna get up at 4 a.m. and then I'm gonna run my marathon. D will still be in bed when I get back. I'll just climb back into bed.
Yeah.
Sleep, like I keep like sacrificing sleep, thinking like
Yeah.
that's just not part of the equation.
Right.
And then like today, I'm like having a hard time staying awake, and it's,
Right.
I had yesterday off.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to bet though, Ben, just throw that one backyard attempt out the window as, a bad day, because all the stuff that you are doing is going to pay. It has to be paying off.
I think I agree.
I mean, okay, so you just say, well, you're sacrificing sleep. Yeah. Well, you're going to have to sacrifice sleep to be effective at the backyard ultra or a 150 miler. Like, I'm excited that I might be able to get 100 miles in 20 hours, which means that I could get up at 6 a.m. and have it done by, 1 a.m.,
Right.
which is awesome. But that's just because I want to avoid having to go 24, 36 hours without sleeping. So at some point you're going to have to, you're going to have to do it. And for me, like I said, it's a light switch, and I just got to figure out how to hold that off. Oh, but it reminded me, I want to ask you, because, we've had this conversation, what's the objective on ultra? Is it to train so much that you push off the pain cave, right? So like first 50-yard attempt, I hit the pain cave at 38 and it destroyed me. I mean, like total meltdown.
Right.
And then the next 50 or the 52 miler, when you were doing your Ironman, I hit it at 42 and it threw me off for like 10 minutes. I didn't hit my pain cave until 90. And then not even a little bit. I had maybe like one while I was getting the burger. I ordered it. I went out for a run for like a mile to come back to get my burger. And in that period of time, I was kind of like, ugh, is this going to, but it was just a momentary fleeting, sadness. And then at 90, I was totally entrenched in the pain cave, all darkness. And I could not get myself out of it.
Right.
So the question I have for you is, did I actually hit the pain cave at 40, 50, 60, 70? And I just worked my way through it very efficiently, and I didn't even notice that it was that bad? Or did I just train well enough to push the pain cave off to 90 miles, and then when I hit the pain cave, I fell apart? I
don't know. I can see it both. You definitely have learned things that got you to 90, right?
Yeah.
Without a doubt. You definitely have seen when the slides coming
Yep.
and you've seen, yeah. But I think you sissied out.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
I say that joking, but I know exactly what you mean, because I hit my pain cave and I went, it it just it just goes so fast in your head. Like it sneaks up on you. You don't
Right. Yeah, I
like
mean, I jogged into my house at 89, like jogging down my road, a road I've run like 1,000 times now. Popped into my house, threw my phone on the charger, or my watch on the charger, with every intention of finishing this thing. Got back out in the darkness, and it just like the end of a movie. Just roll credits, go back and sit on the
yeah.
couch. So
Yeah, and
hey, keep
it's
talking. I gotta plug my computer laptop in.
yeah. I'm interested in the when we do our backyard ultra for real. That's when I think it's going to be. We're really not going to be giving up.
You said no
I
giving
think
up?
I think we're going to be pushing ourselves, or at least for me, I know. Like I don't. I'm going to find out what I'm made of that day for sure. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I'm willing to go to a point where I injure myself. You know what I mean? Like I'm willing to go to push through the pain the best I can.
right.
Like really dig deep. Where like it got uncomfortable and I backed off on my attempt, but it in my head I knew it was a practice run. It's a
Yeah,
practice run. Like
right.
I'm training for this, and that's what kept set. Honestly, that's the thing that got in my head was like, well, if if I keep pushing, my knees starting to hurt a little bit. If I keep pushing, I'm not gonna be able to run. I won't get my monthly miles in. I
I
won't
know.
get my weekly miles in.
But
And now
what
I'm
ends
gonna have a
up killing
month
you?
off, and now I'm set back. Like
It's that
snowballs.
snowball. It cascades so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do agree. We're this was not meant to be done alone. It really wasn't, you
Right.
know. I actually like it, to be honest with you. Like I'm gonna do multiple hundreds on my own. Just that's it was really an enjoyable experience. Um, but having the camaraderie of the event and the aid stations and people cheering you on and pacers, where you're up for a little bit and then I'm up for a little bit, and it makes I know it makes a huge difference, because when I popped in on my buddies throughout the route, I got that little juice of energy, and I'm like, yeah, I remember why I'm doing this, right? To share stories and motivate other people. When it's just you, midnight, dark road, no one's cheering you on, that's a whole different level, right? So which is a great level to be on and to pursue, which I'm going to continue to do. But I do think once we get into that arena, I think it'll help.
I know for me it was huge. It's weird because like I'm playing this game on myself, this competitive game. You know, I wanna I want to outdo you, or I want to do this, but like you were starting in that day, all I wanted you to achieve. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, because you're gonna make this. If you crap out at 54 miles,
Right.
it's like we both
Yeah.
we both suck. We're
No,
both not doing the right thing. And, and at
that was
least
a real fear of mine, Ben, because I was like, if this happens to me again, then Ben and I are both on the wrong track. Like
right.
we're not, we're just blowing smoke at each other. But but once I breezed through it, I realized like that for you was a momentary bad day, and that if you had that same track that I took, you would have been just fine. You would have crushed it, which I highly recommend, by the way. I think you should just go out and run 100.
I want to. The time commitment is
I know.
honestly like a huge
I know.
because it's a day,
It's a whole day. I know. But
and it just they just don't float out there for me.
Yeah. The thing that the biggest benefit, and I still got to work on backyard ultra, but I now know unequivocally that in the 80s, at least, I can hold 10-minute paces. Right. So if you're doing that ultra a backyard and you got to get it in 50 minutes and all you need is a 12-minute pace, I know I can do that at mile 80. Right. And once I get my 100 in under 20 hours, I'll know mentally I can hold that pace. And as long as I don't have a bad lap, just one where the wheels fall off, then I think mentally I can handle it.
Right.
So that's a huge boost if you can do that,
Those guys hitting 200, that was a little, for me, that was deflating.
It is.
Because I have visions of like, how cool would it to be in the top 3 or something like that? You
I
know what I
know.
mean? Like, I have no illusions of actually winning something
Right.
like this. But I'm like, they did 147, maybe, and then they were down to like 3 last year at like 100, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that'd be cool to be in the top 3 and just kind of like in that environment and
Yeah.
seeing what you can do. And then like 3 of them hit 200. And that's not even Nick Bear, who just did a 230 marathon.
I know. This weekend was some sort of training. It was some sort of qualifier for some sort of like
Team
global
USA.
Team
Yep.
USA. Okay, yeah. So I mean, these guys are the top of the top, but
I think like 10 or so runners from different countries, they go like head to head with each other the same day.
yeah,
They're on different courses, which is weird because
that's amazing.
the USA team does it at Big's backyard, which is like a ridiculously hard
Oh
course.
wow.
And
Yeah.
everybody else is doing it on like flat courses.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, my confidence level is through the roof. I mean, going from a 52 miler longest distance in September of last year to 90 miles in 6 months, 7, 8 months, and a really, really comfortable, confident 90 miles. Like I wasn't like bear crawling through the last
Right.
10. So, and then all I got to work on is the pain cave, which is funny because now the pain cave is getting further and further away. Like, so I got to go now run 100 miles to get into a pain cave so that I can just then train myself to persevere through it. But I think I will. I did that twice. The first 50, I fell apart. And then the second 50, when I fell apart, I recovered much quicker. And so anyways, it'll all work out, which I'm confident in. And then you and I will have to just do a little bit of workshopping on the backyard format strategy.
Yeah. And
We'll
I think it'd be interesting trying, like, so the people that do like the 200-mile races, where it's multiple days, you're actually sleeping and you get back up and getting back after it. And you're just, so you're in the pain cave for an extended period of time.
Right.
There's no options but to be in it for a long.
Right.
That would be, that's where you really get to discover what you can do in the pain cave. It's kind of like I didn't start running marathons. I couldn't finish a marathon until I started aiming for 50.
Right.
Maybe aiming for 200.
Yeah, I know. I think that's the way it's going to work for me. And I think actually you just made a really good point. I think I've thought I'm trying to get myself out of the pain cave. When it arrives, be like, all right, let's walk through this mentally, reset, find a way to get back to recovery. But, maybe I'm looking at it wrong. Maybe it's, well, how much work can I do in the pain cave? And I think if you can start to make that mental switch, you're going to get out of it naturally.
Right.
But even if you aren't, you're comfortable saying, all right, I guess this is how the race is going to end. Just me trudging through the pain cave. So those are the things that I'm excited to keep playing with, and the miles just keep going up. So yeah, I mean, I'm 150, 200. Those are all on my list now, if this trajectory holds, right?
Right.
Last year was 50s were really challenging. This year, hundreds are going to be really challenging. And, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah. I've been dealing with that. Dee kind of called me out. I think it was last night or 2 nights ago. She's like, you've been pretty grumpy lately. And as soon as she said it, I'm like, I know. I've been burning the candle at both ends for a long time. I think it's finally starting to catch up with me.
Yeah.
And it's the sleep, recovery, I know it all ties together. It's just finding
Yeah.
that balance, which we're always talking about, that balance.
Right.
And I'm glad she called me. I don't like, and I'm glad I handled being told that well, because
Yeah.
I could see myself being grumpy enough where I didn't handle that well. It was like,
Yeah.
nah, it's you, you know. But yeah, so I'm trying to. All this has been in my head, you know, like the failure, and then tiredness, and not. It. How do I get to this achievement? Doing everything I could do to this point, like pushing myself to the max for 3-4 months now.
Right.
Or May, 6 months.
6.
I've been pushing myself to the max, and I'm not seeing the results.
Right.
But your success. So I mean, this is such a huge success for you and for me. I mean, because you made it possible. You made it. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
I can work smarter,
Right.
and not harder. And
Yeah.
it's a problem. I you know, when I get focused on something, I can fully focus on it and just
Right.
put everything to it. Like
Right.
last year was Ironman training. You know, I'm doing 3 different disciplines. Now it's like,
Right.
oh, I can take all that time and just put it into running. No, that isn't a smart strategy. The reason
Yeah.
I was improving at each because I was taking time off from each.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
yeah. I really appreciate you getting 91. I'm kind of glad you left the door open for 100. Not
Yeah.
that I see myself having time to make an attempt at passing you until the backyard ultra, but
Well, good, because I'm going for it in July. I'll do 100 again between now and September. I was way too close, and I know exactly what went wrong, and I know how to train for it now and taper for it. So I don't want to leave that out there for too long. And I actually really, really, really enjoyed it. I mean, it was, fortunately, it was a beautiful day. It was humid, but like I didn't have. Oh, and just by the way, 2 weeks ago when you attempted yours, I was going to do mine too, and
right.
I bailed. But I'll tell you that I had a really tough work week that week. I had a bunch of stuff on my plate that I wasn't getting resolved. Bunch of stuff mentally where I just, going into that weekend, I was like, I'm not even going to be able to enjoy this run. I'm going to be thinking about work, and I'm behind on this and behind on that. And so I just pulled the plug, and I was like, I'm not in the mindset for this. I also had a different plan. I was going to start in South Portland and stay at my friend's house, and I didn't love that plan. So anyways, I bailed out on it. But I'm really glad that I did, because one, I knew enough about myself to try and give myself the best chance of success.
Right.
2 weeks later, all of the problems I had at work, I had resolved. So when I went in at Saturday at 6 a.m., I had things were good. Like things were good with work, kids, everything else. So it was like, this is time for me to enjoy my run. And I really did, you know. So I want to do that again, you know, as soon as possible. And now I got to get, my back is in rough shape. My lower back is super tight. Having trouble walking. I tried to run this morning, but I just was like, I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to take another day or two, but hopefully I can recover quick and get back at it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a toll on your body. I know I've had, most of my injuries have come when I've run too quickly after.
Yeah.
Even though there's times where it does feel good, but it's like your body still needs to heal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I still don't feel like I'm completely back.
Really?
My run.
Yeah.
I mean, physically, I do. I mean, that run felt. That's the funny thing. My marathon that I ran, the whole run felt great.
Yeah.
Maybe the last maybe mile or two, like I was like, okay, let's push. Like, don't let the pace fall off. And I was pushing a little bit. You know, like
Right.
I felt like I was working. There's a couple big hills right at the end too. I was working up those. Got done, felt great, and then it was just like I was just like a slug the rest of the day, though.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, your run though, you started at 3 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
You did 2.1 miles out Kennebec Road and 2.1 back on those insane hills.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'd walk the first really big, the biggest hill of all of them. I'd walk up the hill and down the hill, and then I'd jog out and jog back, and then walk that hill again.
Yeah. So
I can tell you in every run I've ever done, I've never had my glutes tired ever. I don't ever remember the feeling of my glutes being tired.
Yeah.
Within like 4 or 5 loops, my glutes were exhausted. And it
Right.
had to be from walking because I don't
Yeah.
practice walking, I guess,
Right.
like
Right.
walking at any kind of pace.
Yeah.
And the hills,
Yeah. I think the hills, I think starting late like you did, having already been, having a full day in front of you, doesn't help. And then, I mean, we'll at some point we'll do this because we're both crazy people. I mean, I'll do a backyard ultra by myself, just going out in front of my house for 24 hours. At some point, I'll do that with nobody around. But that's just insanely difficult. That's something that nobody really does.
yeah.
There's no
I
base camp. There's no laughing. There's no joking. And we tried that at Josh's, at your brother's house. I just was not a good and a conditioned runner on that day. I'm a
Neither of
conditioned
us
runner
were.
now. You're a conditioned runner. So, but that whole plan that we had was a great plan. We just weren't ready for that. Well, I wasn't ready for that type of mileage, but now we are. So I think it's just your plan is a tough plan to execute.
Yeah. In my head, the later I start, the the closer I am to getting to morning, because I was gonna go all night. And
Yep.
I wanted to know what that was like to go all night.
Yep.
And that's why I say if I have one regret is that I didn't just push it to sunrise just to
Yep.
see what that felt like. Because I know seeing that sun come up, you know, the endorphins would have just been flowing through. You know what I mean? Like
I agree.
adrenaline and everything.
I agree.
But I
Yeah.
didn't make it. Oh, yeah. Someday I'm looking forward to looking back on that and laughing, but I can't click on that link to watch any of that. It was
Oh, I
hard to
loved it. Like the
it
whole
was
time,
hard
I'm
to
just like,
edit.
oh man, I've been here before. I know this feeling. It was like it was like being in your head at the time. Which I think is a huge privilege to having put myself into those positions where I can relate to somebody that's going through that. Because again, from the outside looking in, it's like one, nobody understands what we're doing. Two, it's like, all right, we'll just keep walking, and there's just so many things to it that you just kind of have to be there to experience it.
And the solo, like you talked about the solo aspect, but then everybody else thinks you're like nobody else gets it.
Yeah.
And then you're in that moment and you don't get it either.
No,
This
I
is
know, right?
stupid. This is
It's
stupid.
like
What am I doing to myself?
it's really like a separate person at that point. Yeah, which is actually fascinating, and I'm a little bit more obsessed with it every time it happens because it's like I psych myself up. I mean, I've done everything, you know what I mean? It's like watch the Dave Goggins YouTube clips, self-talk, write stuff down. What are you going to do when the pain cave shows up? Like, what are you going to tell yourself? And I've done so much of it, and then you get there, and it's just this different person,
Right.
and it's not. Also, I would also, because I've been spending some time just thinking about, well, a lot of time thinking about mental toughness and stuff like that. But there's like courage and there's sacrifice, and when you just had the dog attack, and like there's certain circumstances in which it's very high stress. I've been in those situations before, and I know that I'm willing to charge the hill. You know what I mean? I know that about myself. So, but this whole breakdown, it's a different feeling. It's not fight or flight. It's not like a bear's attacking you and you've got to react, and you can either cower or you can face it and punch it in the nose. It's a totally different animal that you're struggling with. I haven't been able to put my finger on it because I know I'm good in high stress situations, but these situations are more, I don't know. I can't even articulate it at this point, but I will at some point, which
Yeah.
is fascinating.
Yeah. Every part of your body is telling you to quit. Every
Yeah.
part of your mind, every little dark. It, I think I'm a decent arguer, and I lose those arguments so quickly.
Right.
Like I
Right.
can't even make a case for like running and like I can't.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah. Maybe it's the awareness, because maybe when you're in just like that adrenaline fight or flight, you don't even have time to think. You're not thinking about your feelings. You're thinking about just reacting. But in those moments when you're about to quit, like you feel everything,
yeah.
and every argument you make doesn't stick. There's like, it's like, well, your mind is it's a master, right? It knows all your weak points and how to get you to sit down, how to get you to turn around. It wins if it's in control. So
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping there's something comes up, and if there's a day that Dee's like, hey, something came up on the weekend, I'm gonna be gone with Melissa or something,
Right.
I'll be trying for 100 for sure,
Yeah.
out of the blue. But I'm not aware of any of those days coming up.
Yeah, it is summertime, so I probably shouldn't overcommit myself, but I got too close, and I think I could make a plan to execute that straight out. You know,
The day I did mine, that next day was going to be in the 90s,
yeah,
and that was in the back of my head too the whole time, thinking
yep,
about like, even if I make it to morning, I'm not pushing myself through that. Like, I'm not
right,
going, like, it's just not happening.
right.
And then there was a handful of runners that died that day, like in New York
Really?
State or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody died on doing a half marathon that day. So I mean, like, the summer heat, I mean, that's a legit thing too. I don't want to be like,
Well, I was thinking
I
about
don't want to
that.
be stupid and dangerous.
Plus, you you can't just be like, oh, on a Friday, be like, oh, okay, tomorrow's the day I'm going to do the 100, right? I mean, you need at least a week to do some sort of taper and think about it. But you got to be close enough to be able to figure out, is that a Saturday or a Sunday that the weather's going to cooperate with me?
Yeah.
Because I'm not at the point now where I'm going to do it, come hell or high water. Like, I'm not going to do it in 120-degree weather just to be a meathead. It's still about getting the numbers, the miles in, and then applying that to future difficult, situations. But yeah, I want to. I had to tell too many people I didn't make it, and that doesn't sit well with me.
I told a lot of people I'm doing 100. What'd you get? 52? Oh, that's still impressive.
That's still impressive. Like, no.
Is that your longest run? No.
No. It's like, you don't know how easy 52 is now. That's the hard part, right?
See,
Like,
but
I'm at
52 is now hard for me. It's gone back to being a hard
no,
thing for
that's
me.
again, just dismiss it as a momentary bad day kind of thing.
I
I
can't
know.
until I pass it again. It's
But I remember somewhere, I mean, a marathon is just absolutely a warm up now, like, without a question,
right,
And
right.
50, I think after this weekend, I'm at the point where I don't think, I mean, I can run a 50 no problem anytime.
I feel the same too.
Yeah.
If I'm not pushing my pace super hard, not if I'm just staying comfortable, I can do 50 pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
And that's about where I start to get a bit, in my experience so far, that's
Yeah.
where it starts to get a little uncomfortable. Like, I'm not running as smoothly. Like, that's
Right.
about where it starts to fall apart a little bit.
Yep. And you remember when we were like doing our 50s and we're like, 100 just doesn't compute. I just remember, because you asked me after you did your Ironman and I done 52. You're like, could you do that again? I'm like, no way, not a chance in hell. And that was a particularly tough 52 that for me that day, at least, with the hills and everything. So, and that was September. And, if you ask me now, like, can you do 100? I'm like, absolutely. It's just mind blowing how your brain can change over the course of 6 months with the proper training and pushing it. Cause it's like, yeah, I definitely understand 100 now. Whereas 6 months ago, it did not make sense to me.
That's the most attractive thing to all this. Like 100, still in my head, you've made it more possible, but it still seems impossible in my head until I unlock it.
Yeah.
But then I can adapt my body to somebody that could barely run a few miles without discomfort to running 100. Blows my mind.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, the artist feels like I'll be cheating.
Really?
I haven't run. I didn't run it all on.
But you've worn them.
Just putting it on and just like rotating from sitting flat to your toe. It like makes you roll onto your, like, it makes you want to run.
All right, I'll pick up a pair of those tomorrow. Actually, they're out of my size in the black and the white version 2s.
Yeah.
Because I trashed 3 pairs this weekend. And I don't have any good like walking around Atreyus anymore, which I like to have. They're all just trash. So I went to order some more, and they're pretty much out of everything at this point.
Yeah.
But I'll pick up the artist, and I mean, Atreyu is an unbelievably well-made shoe.
I want to try to get on the course. I haven't
Um,
reached out.
New Gloucester. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Just to
yeah.
see. I don't know how rooty it is, how
Right,
hilly, how
right,
gravelly it is,
right.
because that will make a big deal. I'm thinking it's more just like a trail. They say it's not too hilly. The artist might work really be doable on that,
Yeah,
but I might need a trail shoe.
yeah. Actually, remind me. Shoot me a note. I'll just go up there and find it and do the same thing you did last time, which is record it. I'll make some commentary and stuff. But I agree because I've started doing a little bit of trail work, and I don't know if I told you, but I found this trail behind my house, like a mile up from my house. I got onto the trail. I was maybe 50 yards into the trail and completely ate gravel, like because I just forgot to pick my feet up. Hit a root and went straight down. So I got to work on that. But from now until September, there's 3 things I'm going to do, maybe 4. One, elevation. So I've been keeping it easy. I'm going to get my 100, or I got my 90, but now I need to add elevation just for training purposes. And there's some good hills that I'm going to, so elevation, trail work. That's the other one. And then I'm actually, I don't know how you feel, but I'm so vain. I've done an enormous amount of miles in the last 3 months, more than I ever have before. I don't feel good. I don't feel strong, muscular, lean. So I'm going to kind of go back to beach bod mentality through the summer, try and do more fast-paced short runs during the week and lift with Jeffrey, and then get my long mileage in on the weekends.
Yep.
And try and do that through the summer. So that's kind of my June, July, August concept. Because I wasn't eating right for the 300 miles a month, and I don't like not feeling good.
Right.
So I want to correct that, get elevation, get trails, and if I got 100 between now and September, whatever happens at the backyard is what happens, because I'll have felt like I accomplished everything I needed to.
Yeah.
You're gonna be in big trouble, Ben.
Why is that?
You're gonna be way behind.
On what?
You'll have only done 60. How are you gonna do the backyard ultra?
That's right. That's right.
I'm messing with you.
My thought is I'm gonna try to do double half marathons Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Double.
So marathon a day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah.
So instead of but it'll be 13 in the morning and 13 at lunch.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Double half. I get what you're saying.
Right. And then Tuesday, Thursday, I might bike and swim just so I get some exercise in.
Yep.
But mostly just a recovery leg day, just taking it easy on the legs.
I think that would be same type of mileage, but just a different format. I think that would.
Right, as opposed to the 520s. And then the weekend I might just do a marathon of Saturday or Sunday.
Right.
Or maybe I go 13-13 or however I split that up to get my 100-mile week. I've really liked my hard week, lighter week, lighter week, I think is a good format.
I do too,
I'll still be doing that.
Yeah.
So that'll be my hard week, just getting in longer distances, holding a pace for longer.
Right.
Yeah. I'm with you, Trey. I can't avoid elevation here. There's no way.
I know.
I just ran the flattest route I could come up with in my head, and I had 1,300 feet of elevation or something like that. Yeah. And trails, I wish we had more around here. I mean, I could go over to Josh's house. It's hard for me to say I'm gonna go jump in the car for a 40-minute ride to go run, and then 40 minutes back.
Right. Yeah. No, I found some really good trails around the house, so I'm excited to add that in, because it is totally different exercises, like your mechanics better, and I've just gotten tired of the asphalt. I've kind of gotten past that now.
Yeah, there is a nice little mountain that's not far from here, though. I could potentially bike to it and run the mountain.
Yeah,
kind of thing. But I don't know if I'm ready for that. I should just do that. Yeah, awesome, man.
Yeah, you get a lot on your road anyway, so.
Yeah, but it's not the picking up the feet thing.
Right.
And that is a real thing. I know it is, because I did a half marathon. I had done a marathon, and then that same summer I had done a half marathon in the woods, which was a really woodsy single trail
Yeah.
but it crushed me in a much different way than running
Right.
a road marathon,
Right.
because you
Yeah.
do have to pick up your feet. That's, you know, and as far as beach body thing, I am totally on. I'm setting up my rings in my garage.
Yeah.
I'm getting back onto the
Yeah.
rings.
Yeah.
I've got my sled with the rocks in it to pull in the
Yeah.
driveway. Yeah, I've got a bunch of things like that.
Yeah. And I think that because I'm gonna making some tweaks to my program. I think you're doing the same thing, like being able to add in, because before it was all about miles and getting out of the winter. But now if you have that Tuesday where you don't have to run and you can go really do some, strength training,
Yep.
time management and just the overall benefit to your body, that's what I want to do more of.
Yep.
It's easier to do when it's sunny out.
And I literally went. I mean, we're talking 5 months where I haven't had more than one or two comfortable runs in 5 months. My legs hurt all the time. I've been
Yeah.
pushing through just,
Yeah.
and not joint pain, but just like they're always sore. They're always
Yeah.
slow. Like the 30-20s. We love the 30. That was the whole thought behind my head. The 30-20s,
Right.
and you feel like you can run, but you're slow. And
Yeah.
that's been me for 5 months. And
I know.
I'm
I
so
know.
sick of it. I'm so burnt out of it.
But I
And
think I know for a fact it will pay off. It might not have paid off on that one day, but it'll pay off. The mileage will always pay off. Running is so honest. That's what I love about it. And I can't get, other people to appreciate it, or, when they ask why you're doing this and all that kind of stuff. But it is so honest. Like, you just can't escape. You can't cheat it. You can't fake it. Your pace dictate. You can't, an 8-minute pace or 12-minute pace. Like, it's all just real honest numbers and work. And so whatever you did, it's in the bank somewhere.
yeah, I'm hoping the base is big and strong.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
hoping.
Right.
And
It is.
and judging by how many miles I have done, that I've avoided any major injuries.
Right.
I've had little things here and there, and I've even been able to work through those. So
Yeah.
I'm pumped about that. So that it's not all been for nothing, but
Right. Right.
I want to get up to your level. It's weird being behind you because I've been ahead of you for so long.
I know. I've been,
I like the
but I
pole
still
position.
think. Did you run today?
Yeah. No, I ran yesterday, and this is my plan today off.
You took
Tomorrow.
today off. So
I swam and biked.
But I think I beat you this month.
I actually was.
How did you not go out and run 2 miles?
You know what? This is the new me. Honestly, no joke.
Yeah.
I saw that it was like 1.7 miles or something
Yeah.
to tie you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna go for 1 point, and I was gonna like have it dead even.
Right.
And then I'm like, no, be smart.
Yeah.
I'm not competing against you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, do your plan, do you.
Yeah.
Let your body, not that 2 miles would have set me back or anything like that, but I'm like,
mentally though, it's about staying disciplined to what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah.
So I'm proud of myself that I did. I wanted to tie you exactly. I wasn't going to go.
Sure. I've been working on my phone 2 or 3 times today because I was like, he's obviously going to do that. There's no way he's going to let me get a month.
I had a thought too. I'm like, I'll do that, and then he'll do a little more. We get into that cycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you can have it. You did
all
good.
right. Good. Well, it was a good month to get it on because I'm actually pretty happy. I know I'll go out and hit that 100. I think you're better suited for backyard anyways. So I still got a big task ahead of me, but I'll go into September feeling pretty confident.
I did pass 300 this month though, right?
Oh yeah, you're 321. I was 323. Yeah.
Because I'm not letting myself go below 300.
No, and I think I think 300 is a manageable number. It's 10 a day. I mean, worst case, and I'm happy with that. So programming wise, I think I'm good. I mean, honestly, I just want I want to run as much as I can. You know what I mean? I've already started thinking about other things, and I'm after that 90, I'm like hooked.
Yeah.
And I was hooked before too. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You pulled us both forward.
Yeah, I think and only because you've been pulling me for like 6 months. So, that's the benefit. It's kind of a push-pull thing. you know, and I'll be up for a little bit and you'll be up for most of it. And, you know, that's why we're doing this.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm not running tomorrow, starting off June week, but June 2nd, I'll be back on track.
I should have a marathon in tomorrow.
Good. Enjoy it.
Have a great night, man.
All right. See you, Ben.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.